What's going on, everybody? We are back. Episode number 243 of the Club and Sub podcast. It is the 2025 finale this week. It's Brandon Royval taking on Kape. And then we got a nice 6-week break after that. I'm actually, for once, looking forward to it. Get a little time off here. Gain a little bit more weight before we start getting serious about getting slim for the warm weather.
Yeah.
I'm back in the living room in case anybody didn't notice tonight, because the background that I've been trying to get going just isn't working out, so we can get that addressed over the next 6 weeks. But yeah, we got a bit of time off. I'm excited for it. But before that, we got a decent card. We got Brandon Royval, we got Kape, we got UFC Vegas 112. Real quick, we can chat last week. That was UFC 323. I had a very small slate. I had 4 bets. I had Henry Cejudo to win a unit, or risking a unit at plus 215. I mean, knew within 90 seconds how the fight was going to go. It was pretty clear he was shot and just wasn't really going to compete. Obviously, that was always the downside. I played Fares Ziam to win 2 units at minus 130. Obviously, that won very easily. I do think it's pretty likely that something was off with Sadikov. I mean, I liked Ziam anyway, but, he provided basically zero resistance in that fight. So whatever. I mean, obviously it was a good bet in the context of that fight. I had a unit and a half on Ibo Aslan at plus 165. I mean, it was a good bet.
I mean, I played Ewo to win a unit and a half.
What's that?
I said I played Ewo to win a unit and a half, and
I
didn't think that was a good bet. So
yeah, I didn't feel bad about it. It's like one of these days, you bet on it, you hope he gets into a swinging match with the wrestler, and then it happens, and they both get dropped, and he just lost it. So it was what it was. And then I played Bruno Fajeda to win 2 units at minus 101. I got reversed on this. He missed weight. All the shit happened. But at the end of the day, it was a really good bet. And Vittori was exactly what I thought he was. I learned my lesson after the Brendan Allen fight. Marvin's not what he was. That was pretty apparent to me. And it went pretty much like I thought it would. How did you do, Lex? So I won a unit and a half. How'd you do, Lex?
So I only had 4 plays to win a unit and a half each, and won all 4 of those. So I had Fares Ziam money line to win a unit and a half. Touched on that a little bit. I had the Ewo money line at minus 185 to win a unit and a half. Again, we touched on that. I don't think that was a great bet because it was a huge swinging match. No wrestling upside really materialized for how quick the fight really ended. Had 2 other bets: the Pantoja Van fight to not go the distance, or not to start round 5 to win a unit and a half. And then I also had the Barbosa under 2.5 parlayed with the Dawson under 2.5.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, so you just put your balls on my head last week.
Profit, yeah, it was nice.
Tristan saying we should do a shot bet. I owe Legs like 3 shots. I have an idea. My thought is we do a holiday card after this, some point in the next week or 2. Recap the year and everything, and I will give you all of those shots or whatever I owe you on that card. Maybe we even do a power hour during it. I don't know. Have some people on here, do a power hour. Have some fun, since we're not going to be breaking down anything. I am planning to take at least a week off of tape. After this, just chill out.
Maybe hear me out. I mean, we could do it during the holidays if you want, or what we could do, since that card is not till the end of January, maybe do like a little early release power hour, like a January, like first week of January type release, second week of January type release.
Yeah, but I was thinking just like a yearly recap. Maybe we get the Santa hats out, bring some eggnog, do all the shit. Really get the people into it. Get drunk on stream.
We could do that. All
right. Anyway, let's jump into this week. It's the final card of the year. We're back in the Apex. I've looked at it. I don't love it. I have 1 bet thus far, maybe another 1 or 2 coming. Well, I got to tell you, the problem with the living room, that's why I'm in this screen still right now. Because usually when I got the living room background going, you just see me. But now you got the mic, you got part of my table. I had my phone out on it before and you could see it. It's just like, I'm in Wonderland right now and the world is falling apart around me. So, but yeah, let's hop into it. First fight of the night. We got Teresa Blada. She's taking on Jamie Lynn Horth. Current price, Blada minus 145. The comeback on Horth plus 125. I'm considering a Blada bet. I have some concerns about her injuries that she's had in the time away. I guess some concerns about her cardio and her being at a potential cardio disadvantage here. But at the end of the day, I don't really rate anything about Jamie Lynn Horth other than her being, very tough. I know she gave Miranda Maverick a difficult fight, but if you watch that fight, she basically won a round off getting a back take because Miranda was fighting terribly and got another back take in it. But otherwise, she didn't really accomplish much on the feet. She didn't really accomplish much other than those 2 scrambles and the grappling. This is a woman who arguably lost to Ariana Petrovic, who arguably lost to Haley Cowan, who did lose to Veronica Hardy, and she's 35 years old. She's got some power. She's got good cardio. She's a big lady, but she's fighting a much bigger lady here in Teresa Blada, who is only 24 years old. Blada obviously 1-1 in the UFC, but 2 pretty tough fights to start off, Natalia Silva and Gabrielle Fernandez. Obviously, she took a round off Natalia Silva before she gassed out in that fight. I would say the cardio was probably the biggest concern for me, except, I actually thought her cardio late against Fernandez looked fine. She got hurt, but after she got hurt, she got her back down and she mauled her. She looked fine when the fight ended. Her cardio looked fine in round 3 on Contender Series. Look, if she gets stuck standing here, she's probably the worst striker, but is Jamie Lynn Horth a great striker? Yeah, I don't really think so. I feel like it would probably be competitive, especially at 24. There's a lot of scope for Bleda getting better. I think she's the much better wrestler. I think if she gets on top of Horth, she's very likely to consider top position or consolidate top position. I like Bleda here. I'm hoping, there does seem to be some Horth interest. I'm hoping it continues to show, but I'm considering a Bleda bet. What do you think, Legs?
Yeah, I'm more inclined to lay the chalk as well. To me, anything under -150 is good to me because I feel like she has decent wrestling upside in the matchup. Yeah. You touched on it with Horth's skills in general, and there really not being much of any. But the girl's big, she's physical, and could that be an issue?
She's very tough.
Yeah, could that be an issue for Blada maybe late in the fight, trying to hoss her around, that big physical girl? Maybe it could be, but I see huge wrestling upside for her, and even on the feet, I just don't see it being stuck there that long. And she is serviceable enough striking.
And she, I think we have to. I know she's had some injuries, but if you look at her Instagram, she has been training for the last 6 to 8 months. I do think you have to expect some progression in the striking from Bleda. You kind of have to price that in at her age, and it wouldn't take much to be competitive with Horth. Yeah, she outstruck Vanessa Demopoulos, but who hasn't, So, yeah, I'm with you. I like the Bleda side here. I do think it's a decent spot for her. Moving on, we got Alan Fry taking on Guilherme Pat, 2 dog shit heavyweights who are both undefeated at 6-0 and 5-0. The current price, Pat's the favorite at -175. The comeback on Fry is +150. What do you think, Danny?
To your point, 2 pretty low-level heavyweights. Not a ton of tape on both guys. A little bit more on the Pat side. Pat, to me, just seems like a guy that's going to struggle with anybody who's looking to take him down. Awful defensive grappling. Pretty easy probably to find on the feet as well. His defensive striking doesn't seem that great, though the guy's massive. Seems like he's got decent power. And, there's not much to say really on the Fry side. There's just not a ton of tape available on his side. I feel like
he's a swinger.
Yeah, I think Pat probably ices him early. It's probably going to be a swinging match. And, under 1.5 if anything, but I'm fine passing.
Yeah, I'm fine passing it too. I think I lean the Fry side, even though Pat looks like, to your point, he looks bigger and he looks like the much more well put together fighter. I just feel like in this kind of a fight, at least Alan Fry, is going to go for it. And he at least has stopping power. Whereas I think the efficacy of Pat's power is pretty questionable in my opinion. He does not look like a big hitter to me. So just from that perspective, I do lean Fry because I think Fry is much more likely to win by knockout in the first round. But having said that, Pat's better. He should win this fight. I'll put it this way. In the litmus test of would I feel bad betting or passing and being, missing the bet or there's no chance I would feel good about betting a side here. And there's no chance I'd feel bad about missing a winner in this fight. So I lean Fry. I have no interest in putting money on the fight though.
I'm with you.
Moving on. This is a really compelling fight to me. We got Luana Santos. She's taking on Melissa Cronin. The current price, Santos is -125. The comeback on Cronin is +105. I really wanted to get to a Santos bet pre-tape and even post-tape. There's a part of me that wants to, just since I do think her game is the more practical game for MMA, especially women's MMA. She is the better grappler here. If she consolidates top time, she's probably got some big control upside, probably some submission upside here. Cronin is, a reasonable hitter and she's a brute, which helps her, very, very big. She does throw volume and she's got good cardio. The problem for me with Cronin is I I mean, what is she good at? Like literally, other than being able to eat a shot, like and having good cardio, I don't think her striking
Decent
skills are
volume.
particularly. Yeah, she's got good volume, but like I think skill wise, she's not particularly skilled at all. And she's like glacial, she is about as slow as it gets, and very, very easy to hit, very, very easy to find. And she's 34, versus Santos, who's 25, giving away a likely big grappling edge. The issue for me, though, is like, I mean, maybe Santos has cleaned it up, but I don't really trust Luana Santos's cardio. On top of which, I don't really trust Luana Santos's striking. It's there wasn't really in her last fight, Santos, that is, a lot of data for me to glean from it, other than she's a much better grappler than what's her name, Lisboa. But striking, the brief few striking exchanges there were, they didn't look good to me. It was her just like winging a right hand and then covering up. That kind of scares me. Obviously, she got clowned by our favorite. I obviously say that in sarcasm, Casey O'Neill, on the feet. So I don't know. I feel like it's pretty high volatility. Like Santos should be getting better. If she can get easy takedowns, she could dominate this fight. I do believe that. At the same time, all of my questions about Santos from her entire career are still there. I still think she's kind of a flake. I still don't trust her cardio. To me, she should have improved her striking, but it didn't really look like in the brief exchanges there were against Lisboa that she had. And like Cronin, at least with Melissa Cronin, you're getting a lady who's not afraid. She's going to go in there. She's going to try to make the fight violent. She's going to keep coming forward, and her cardio is going to be there in round 3. For me, it's a pass just because I do think there's enough macro stuff and enough improvement upside and gym upside, like where she's training, for her to get better and like look fairly dominant winning this fight. But I lean Cronin. I don't feel good about it, but I do lean Cronin. What do you think here, Legs?
Well, it's a point really we touch on a lot of podcasts, and it's like you hate really like having just a bad like taste for one girl and be like, you know what, maybe I want to bet on her in this spot. And that's kind of me with not me with Santos really in this spot. Like I really don't want to bet her in her, but I just feel like in general, I'm fine with fading her the UFC long term. I feel like it's probably profitable just because to me she's not long for the UFC. She doesn't have a great skill set. She gets super tired, to your point, and striking's really hasn't improved. So it's like she needs to get the fight to the ground, needs to find a submission, or just top time cross 15. So like I lean the Cronin side. Way more past the game.
Are you betting her or just your lean?
No, just leaning.
Yeah, same. Moving on. I'm curious to hear your take here. I think this is an interesting one. It's a part of me that wants to get to a bet on the underdog, but we got Sean Sharath taking on Stephen Aspen. Aspen minus 235. The comeback on Sharath is plus 200. What do you think here?
So I get your take on, I think, why you want to bet the dog here, because it kind of just seems like a low-level heavyweight fight. I mean, Aspen.
I said really... tempted.
I know. Why listen, I can be tempted on that side too, because to me it's dog or pass, because I don't really see like a UFC skill set in Aspen. Like the guy's big, decent strikes on the feet, but like I feel like Sharath's the bigger hitter here, and like this could just be a swinging match early. But I feel like the size is a huge component in the matchup.
Yeah. I agree. So here's the thing. I feel like there's a lot of reason to like Sharath at the price. He's almost certainly the better wrestler of the two. He is going to come forward. He is pretty aggro. He does hit harder, to your point.
His cardio.
Well, that's so okay. So that's the thing. Now you can say last fight was short notice against Junior Tafa, and it was. So maybe his cardio is better here, but we don't know because all of his other fights are ending in round 1. So it's like, and they're against terrible opposition.
Bad.
I would say yes, very, very likely his cardio is as horrific as it looked against Junior Tafa. So do I think he can win? Yeah, obviously. Like I think he could finish Aspen. I think he could get on top of him, potentially dominate early in this fight. But I still think Sharath, despite that performance, like let's be clear here. Junior Tafa, I know he did well against him, but Junior Tafa just lost the fight in the UFC to Tuco Tokos. Okay, that happened. So like I think how meaningful that is not really entirely clear to me. Stephen Aspen, I think he's terrible. I faded him on Contender Series. I was wrong. That jelly roll guy he fought is a bum. But whatever. I think Aspen's terrible. I expect Sharath to put him in danger early. The issue is though, like, what if Sharath does struggle with the size on takedowns, or ends up on bottom on a takedown,
And just
or
doesn't get him out of there early.
right, or simply just doesn't get him out of there early. I do trust Aspen's cardio a lot more than I trust Sharath's. That's really all I have to go on here. I think Sharath's much more likely to finish the fight early. I think he's going to have a good round one. But if it goes past that, I'd favor Aspen. If he struggles with the grappling against a big guy like Aspen, I wouldn't be shocked. So, I don't know. It's a very low-level fight. Like, do I want to get involved with Sharath? Kind of. But I really I don't think he's going to prove to be a good UFC heavyweight. So, I'm not like, to me, it's just like, it's easy to say pass, honestly. That's at the end of the day.
What I was going to say, maybe a prop look, you could look at it, maybe like a round one only.
Yeah. But I feel like you don't think that's going to be like juice to the tits?
It could be. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, maybe not. He's plus 175. It's possible it's not, but
Yep.
I do hear where you're coming from. Moving on, we have Neil Magny, the ageless one, taking on Yaroslav Amisov, making his UFC debut. The current price on Amisov is minus 400. The comeback on Magny is plus 300. I don't feel strong. If anything, I lean the over here. I think Amisov should have his way.
Yeah.
Maybe Magny can drag him into the Magnyverse, but I think Amisov should be able to get takedowns more or less at will. I think he should get control, and I think his cardio in 3-round fights is fine. I know Logan Storley gave him some issues a few fights back on the first time they fought, but I mean, Storley's a better wrestler than Magny, and I think he's stronger at this point in their careers. I just can't picture Amisov facing much resistance in this fight into the wrestling. And if he's not getting resistance to the wrestling, it's very, very hard for me to see how, Magny does his like vintage Neil Magny shit here. Obviously love Magny. I hope he wins. I'm not laying the minus 400 on Amisov, but I think the wrestling gap is enough that he should really roll here. What do you think, Lex?
Yeah, I think the price is justified personally on Amisov. And honestly, it's tough for me with the total because with how dominant I think he could be in the grappling, like I could see a finish. You know what I mean?
Like sub? Like a Amisov sub?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, that's probably how the under comes through. Like I don't think it's coming through with an Amisov KO on the ground.
Yeah.
And a Magny late finish to me is not that live on the cards. So maybe you just attack an Amisov sub instead of the under, but yeah.
So our next fight up, we have a late booking here. This was just booked today. I took a brief look at it. Didn't get enough, but it's Joe Anderson Breto. What's going on, Dravi? He's taken on Isaac Thompson. The current price on Breto is, he's a big favorite. He's minus 300, I believe. Yep. And the comeback on Thompson plus 250. I don't know. I mean, Thompson looks like a decent prospect. He's a decent striker. He's reasonably well-rounded. But he's obviously fought a very low level of competition. He's taking this fight on remarkably short notice. I think he's the better striker in this fight, personally. Can he keep up with Breto in the grappling? I doubt it. And even on the feet, like I think Breto skill for skill is not a particularly strong fighter. I really don't. But what he is a brute, and he can take shots, he will go forward, and he will not be deterred. If you can out-grapple him, you can beat him. If you can move like a Willem Gomes, you can just kind of like point him. I'm not sure I'm ready to say Thompson is either of those things. I think he could surprise a few people and keep this fight closer than expected, but I also think it's a titanic ask on short notice, and I think if he gets Breto on top of him, he's going to be in a lot of trouble here. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Thompson looks like he's value, but it's just the macro is pretty bad for him here, and this is not the guy. Like I'd like to see him get someone like Breto 2 or 3 fights into his career, not in his debut. So to me, the price is fine. What do you think, Lex?
I honestly, this was one I didn't get a chance to tape because it was a new matchup. But honestly, I liked him against Melsick quite a bit.
Yeah, same. Moving on, we got Amanda Lemos. She's taking on Jillian Robertson. Current price, Robertson minus 200. The comeback on Lemos plus 170. What do you think, Danny?
This is one where I do have kind of some interest in the dog as his price just keeps coming up because, we've seen Jillian struggle with physicality all of her career, really. And we talked about this, even in their easy matchups, they're not making them sweat-free. The Agapova fight, not sweat-free. She's getting hurt, almost hammer-fisted, almost finished in that fight. I mean, we could talk about the Macy Barber fight that's so long ago, but like even the Marina fight, not sweat free, but like, so to me, plus 170 with Lemos, way more finishing upside between the two. To me, like I get Jillian obviously could wreck her on the mat if it gets there. I get that, could find a finish. To me, I think Lemos finishing her on the feet and or guillotining her is probably more live than that, though. So I don't, plus 170 to me, it's tough for me to not have some interest.
Yeah, I totally empathize with where you're coming from here, because I've had a lot of the same thoughts as you know. I know Jillian's look good, but like, let's be honest, she's had some really soft matchups in the top 10, and she's had some really big stinkers against like shittier competition, like JJ Aldrich, like Luana Pinheiro, like Tabitha Ricci, like Agapova, like you mentioned. Jillian has had, when she's dealt with a physicality deficit, she's had some, she hasn't had an easy time, because the truth of the matter is she's not, she's a better wrestler than Duran as a pure wrestler, but she's not a very good wrestler. She really is not. She just lacks the athleticism and physicality. And obviously on the feet here, Lemos has a fairly sizable advantage. She's going to be faster. She's going to hit way harder. She manages distance way better. Like, it's not totally hard to picture Lemos replicating the Dern fight even more dominantly here, against Robertson. The issue for me, I mean, Dravi just said it in the chat, the biggest issue I have in this fight, there's a couple issues. First of all, she's 37 years old. Like, she's 37. She's been very active. She's had a lot of fights recently. I do think I think we are seeing a Lemos decline. I feel like that's going to continue. The other issue is Lemos likes to counter grapple. And that is, if she does that here, she's elite on top, like if Lemos fishes for a guillotine, she's going to get stuck on bottom and she's probably going to get smashed, and it's pretty easy for me to picture that outcome happening. And that's the thing scaring me here at plus 170, because I can very easily picture this fight looking Jillian like minus 400, minus 500, depending on Lemos' IQ. On the other hand, the other side of this equation is, Tatiana really did not consolidate position against her. And I know Tatiana is not what she used to be. She's not the dominant force she once was. She's still a much better wrestler than Jillian Robertson is, by a fairly large margin, in my opinion. And the fact that Lemos was able to work up there makes me think that, she potentially could here. And I also feel like, man, Tyler Santos is way bigger and she's a better grappler than Lemos, but the way Santos just was able to like tie her up whenever Jillian went forward and take her down, I wouldn't be shocked at Lemos getting a couple takedowns here, and getting like some control herself, or just doing what she did to Lucindo and just proving to be too big, too physical. I don't know, man. I could see either side looking value, which is why I'm passing at the moment, but I am with you. Like, the red flags on Lemos are the age and, what happens if she ends up on bottom. But like Jillian I don't know, man. I really don't know. I do feel like the Lemos is the side here. I honestly do. So
and what's tough with the what I will say, what's tough with the under, because I feel like it's like a knee-jerk reaction to go to an under here because it's a binary-ish type of fight. I could easily see Jillian top timing to a decision, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Easiest to finish. She's gonna have to sub her, I feel like.
I actually would almost prefer over, I think, if I was so inclined on the Jillian side. Like, Jillian's nasty on top, but like Dern got 6.5 minutes on top and didn't finish her. Zhang had about 20 minutes on top and didn't finish her. I'm honestly, I sort of, there's a part of me thinks that Lemos by KO is more likely than Jillian finishing this fight on the mat.
That's what I was saying.
Like what would you like? Verna finished her in the end of round 2, but I feel like Verna would maul Jillian, honestly.
If you gave me that, if you gave me a playable line, Verna against Jillian, I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
You could say Verna's the better striker than Jillian.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of my point, And the other thing is with that fight, because I think that's probably the closest, point of comparison to this. Verna, she's not the best wrestler on her first entry, but she's very, very good at working positions in the clinch and against the cage, and kind of like using weight shifts and leverage to get to a position she wants to get in. That's not really Jillian. She's either getting a double or a single, and that's kind of it. She's not gonna, do anything clever from the clinch to, get you to a dominant position. So yeah, I lead the Lemos side. Moving on, we have got King Green taking on Lance Gibson Jr. This was also added today. Current price, Green minus 210. The comeback on Gibson plus 180. I'll probably pass. I was hoping it would continue to blow out because I think Bobby's finished, to be honest. I really do. I think his shin's going. I think his speed has gone. His grappling looks worse than it once did. And so, like, I was thinking, if I can get Lance Gibson in, like, the 300 range, I'd be pretty interested in that because he is, like, a decent striker. He's a decent grappler. But it's not. And the truth is, Bobby Green, even deteriorated, should be a lot better than Lance Gibson. Lance Gibson, very, very chinny. I don't think he's particularly fast, not like Green is anyway. I do think Green is a lot slower than he once was, but I don't think that should be a challenge here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about it. Betting Gibson is purely betting on Bobby's continued decline, which I think is reasonable, to be honest. I just feel like I'd want a really big price to do it, and Lance Gibson, to bet Lance Gibson to do it, I should say. And this price is not really exactly what I'd want. What do you think, Legs?
Another one I didn't take, and I'm not super familiar with Gibson.
Okay, fair enough. Moving on. Very interesting fight here. I think there's a lot of two-way opinion. We have got Kennedy and Seduku. He's taking on Marcus Buchecha. Buchecha coming off being conquered by Martin Boudet, the GOAT. The current price on Seduku is minus 1. Yeah, got cut with a 7-1 record, which is crazy. In Seduku, minus 126. The comeback on Buchecha, plus 106. What do you think, Danny?
Well, I'm going to plant my flag here. This is Kennedy for me. Because to me, Buchecha seems like a bit of a round one fighter. His cardio to me seems like a huge, huge red flag. His striking definitely needs improvement. He basically needs to ground Kennedy early, probably find a finish, or maybe he could control him for 2 rounds and maybe not die in the third. I just don't see that to me. To me, the striking gap is huge. The physicality gap is huge. The cardio gap is absolutely massive. To me, that's Kennedy's strong suit. Pacing guys down the stretch who don't have the best cardio and can't grapple him. And to me, that's where I feel like it's a great spot for Kennedy.
I am torn, and I'm going to pass it because I tend to agree with you. Obviously, if Kennedy gets this into the later rounds, he should cook. If Buchecha fails on takedowns and ends up in the clinch, Kennedy's probably if not the best clinch fighters at heavyweight. He's nasty there, much better than Boudet with the knees and elbows. He throws it tight. The issue for me is twofold. First of all, there's the fact that Kennedy is as chinny as he is, which concerns me. And I do think Buchecha hits pretty hard. I don't think he's a good striker. He'll get outstruck if they strike for any extended period of time. But I do think he throws with real horsepower, and he could put Kennedy down in this fight, in my opinion. The other issue is just like I cannot in my head unsee what happened with the Walker heel hook. It just seems like to let that happen, it's like, do you not practice jiu-jitsu? I know Walter Walker's done it to a lot of guys, but they're all fat heavyweights. Kennedy isn't fat. Maybe it'll turn out that Walker ends up getting 8 heel hooks in a row and heel hooks everybody. But I don't really love Kennedy's defensive wrestling either. So I expect Buchecha to get a takedown or 2 early in this fight. And if he does that, I could see him cooking him. I think my inclination is to feel like Kennedy will survive, similar to the Danilo Marquez fight, and probably take over and put it on him late. But there is enough downside against a grappler Buchecha's caliber that I don't really want to be involved like Kennedy here. I do understand the play. Just for me, I'm not going to be there.
Honestly, for me, and minus 160, I get not playing Kennedy. I had some hesitation there, but minus 125, minus 130 Kennedy.
Yeah. Moving on, banger fight here. Morgan Charie taking on Melchizedek Costa. I bet Charie at minus 103 to win 2 units. It's my only bet so far. Melk's obviously outperformed expectations to a large degree in the UFC. Good volume, good movement. He's very good at striking and avoiding. He's an okay scrambler. Yeah, he's a talented fighter. Really nice kicking game. I think this is a tough stylistic matchup for him here, though, because first of all, the small cage, I think, has an outsized impact on this fight because, Melk's game is so movement based, being able to kind of volume you up on the feet, I think it's going to make it pretty easy for Morgan to cut the cage here. In boxing range, I think Melk can compete there. I do. Morgan's not the best boxer ever, but I do feel like there's a tremendous difference in firepower in boxing range. I think Morgan hits much, much harder. And in addition to that, is much more durable. And in addition to that, has much better defense than Melk does. So that right there, it's like it kind of gives Morgan, an edge in KO equity and a pretty significant edge in moment equity. And the other thing for me is I just think Morgan's a much better grappler. Honestly, like maybe Melk could have some success in the grappling as Morgan slows down later in the fight. But he's a pretty good wrestler. I think he's a pretty good top player. And honestly, I know he held up against C-Rod, but dude, C-Rod he's a fat bantamweight. And the truth is, he's a great counter grappler. He's not a great offensive grappler himself. And he still got 6 takedowns there. I think Morgan can get takedowns here. I think he can get control. I really can't unsee Melk giving up 7 minutes of control to Shaylin. That's just, I know Shaylin's strong, but so is Morgan, and I think Morgan is a bit.
Yeah, Isaiah's not a great wrestler. He's
and I think Morgan's a better wrestler and grappler in general, Yeah. So to me, I'm like, yeah, I can see, Melk's probably got better cardio. He's got a better work rate. I can see him edging this fight, but I do feel like Morgan's just got a lot more upside. I think he's got more finishing upside. He's got more moment upside. He's got more grappling upside. In a fight that's line pick him, I mean, that's enough for me to take the shot on him. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess I'm just not as passionate as you. I'm probably still going to be playing the Morgan side, but again, to all your points, I think he has the wrestling upside, the power upside. I mean, to me, a cost to win is probably close in almost all iterations. I mean, I just don't see him. I just don't see him having wrestling upside. And then on the feet, the volume's probably close. Like maybe he's slightly out voluming him, but Morgan's probably landing the harder shots. So like it's close. Like I just don't see Costa blowing out in any proportion.
Minute to minute, it's probably going to be close in general, right? I think it plays out as a close fight very, very often. I just feel like Morgan's kind of got those the intangibles that can like separate in that kind of a fight, whereas that's not really in Melk's game.
Yep, agreed.
Moving on, we got Cesar Almeida. He's taking on Cesare Olasejuk. Current price, Olasejuk minus 205. The comeback on Almeida plus 175. What do you think, Danny?
I'm not a huge fan of Almeida's, honestly, and I think that's just where I've just come to gripes with, just like going back through all of his tape. Like the guy's a good kickboxer, but he's super true. The guy's a good kickboxer, but he's just super stationary and he's easy to hit. So, like, to me, Cesare is probably just as big of a hitter, if not maybe a bigger hitter than Almeida. I think he's got better movement on the feet as well. I think he probably has some wrestling upside here, too. A little bit, nothing crazy. So, like, price probably justified, maybe a tad wide making his UFC debut, but I think it's fine. You're on mute, John.
My bad. I guess I agree. I'm with you. I'm much lower on Almeida than the market has been. Unfortunately, I didn't make money on that dynamic. I passed on the Kopylov fight, which obviously was
Almeida against Kopylov, and that was just horrendous. Kopylov just.
I'm just not like I think there was a time in Almeida's career where he could have been a really good MMA fighter, but he joined so late. And now he's 37, 38. I don't think his chin is very good. It's like not just Kopylov dropped him. Ihor hurt him. His defensive, I know Budka couldn't wrestle him, but like never Dylan Budka. That guy fucking sucks. Well, like he belonged nowhere near the UFC.
The guy's not an MMA fighter. Not Budka. Well,
no.
Budka, true. But I mean, Almeida's just going out there to strike. He's not, again.
Dude, he's getting out wrestled by Roman Kopylov and Ihor Potieria. Like that. Right. That's the take right there. And I do think, even though I don't think Olasejuk's grappling is all that impressive, I think he could out wrestle him if he wanted, honestly. And I think on the feet, I like Olasejuk's hardware more. I like his output more. I like his power a bit more. I trust his durability a bit more. Almeida's the more skilled kickboxer. If he wins this fight, I won't be surprised. It wouldn't shock me. I just feel like fading the guy who's got like 6 total MMA fights, who's potentially chinny, who can't grapple at 38 years old. Is that a guy I want to bet at plus 170 against the prospect with 18 fights who actually looks like he's reasonably skilled everywhere? Not really. I'm not really sure what Olasejuk is, but I know he's good enough for me to not be tempted on Almeida at plus 170.
Yeah.
Moving on, we got the co-main event. This is kind of a banger fight, depending how you think it'll go, I guess. We got Kevin Valleos. He's taking on Chicads. Current price, Valleos minus 300. The comeback on Chicads plus 250. What do you think, Danny?
I'm gonna be honest. Even at the price, I think it probably is fine. And I honestly might look to a Kevin bet. Like I think we've seen talk about earlier in the card. We've seen the decline of Giga really lately. Like the guy's again, great starter, cardio, awful. And so round 2 and round 3, I mean, Valleos is a guy who does turn up the pace and the pressure, the volume. I mean, I could see him absolutely just mauling Giga in the second, third round, finding a finish. Like this is a show-out spot for him in a co-main event against the big name in Giga. I like Kevin.
Yeah, I'm not that high on Kevin, to be honest. Not nearly as high as the market is. I think he's got a lot of flaws. I think he's hittable. I don't think his cardio is quite as good as the market thinks it is. I think he's a bit plotty on the feet. Having said that, yeah, to your point, like Giga, Giga's a very talented striker. He always has been. Very good kicker. He's got decent hands. He's very fast. He can't grapple at all. We've seen that recently. Valleos could obviously exploit that there. But even more importantly than that, his cardio is just terrible, and it always has been at any kind of a pace at all. And to compound things, he's fighting in the small cage here, which I don't think is good for him whatsoever. Like, I think about this fight, and I'm like, yeah, I think Giga's got a fairly pronounced striking advantage while he's fresh. And I think early in the fight, he could potentially stuff takedowns and or work up should Valleos choose that path. So I do think Giga's going to start pretty well here. Like I wouldn't be shocked at all to see him win the first round and look pretty good doing it, honestly, because I think early on, while Valleos is getting his reads, Giga's going to have some success with his kicks. He's going to have some success jabbing and circling away and playing the counter game. The problem is, to your point, Valleos is very durable, and he's not going to stop coming, and he's not going to stop pressuring. And I just, that alone, even if you took the potential grappling path out of it, would be enough that it's like I'd be a little uncomfortable with Giga, just because in that kind of a fight he is going to slow down towards the end of it. But then it's like you factor in that Valleos, he probably will mix in 5 to 6 takedown attempts here. And if he gets 2, he's probably a deserved minus 250 favorite. If he gets more, he's probably value. And then you factor in the fact that he's 23 years old, right? Giga's 37. It's very clear that he's declining. Valleos is 23. He's probably improving. He's working into his own. I think Giga on the feet's got the skills to win this fight. I just think the pace, the output, the durability of Valleos are all pretty significant edges. The age is a pretty significant edge, and the fact that he can work in takedowns is a pretty significant edge. So, with that dynamic, yeah, I'm with you. I think the price is probably fine. I don't love it because, like, I really, really want to fade Kevin Valleos, and it's like, this is one of those ones that if Giga just fucking styles on him, I'll be like, fuck, But, yeah. But like, can you really be that upset about passing on 37-year-old gassy ass Giga who can't grapple in a small cage?
Like the guy's got 1 round, and the small cage is really the big factor here. Like if you told me this was a big cage, maybe you could sell me. Like this was on last week's card. Yeah. Could you sell me? Maybe.
He's got to stay mobile. That's the issue, that for the whole fight for 15 minutes.
Yeah. And stay on his feet.
Yeah. Moving on, we got the main event. We got Manel Kape taking on Brandon Royval. The price on Manel Kape is minus 300. The comeback on Royval plus 250. I'm considering laying the chalk on Kape. I haven't made a final decision on it. I have the same concerns with Kape I always do, in that he can be low volume. The thing is, the guys who have exploited that, he's not really low volume. He's a counter striker. If you can stay long and kick him from the outside and not engage, you can get ahead on him. We've seen that before. Same thing if you're going to play the kind of low volume counter game with him. Brandon Royval doesn't really have that in his arsenal, in my opinion. His only way to go is to throw a lot of volume at you. And like, I think about it, it's like, if Royval comes at Kape, he's going to fire back hard. And Kape's got way better defense. He hits far harder. He's far faster. He's far more technical. He kicks better. He's way more durable. Like I feel like there's no way Royval can get his game going without getting hurt a lot in this fight. I don't see that much scope for him, like hugely out voluming Kape. I think if you wanted to make an argument for Royval, it's like maybe he can get a takedown or 2 and maybe steal a back take, but it's like, I don't know, like he's far from the best grappler Kape's fought in his career, like not even close. I really struggle to picture Royval having any kind of dominant grappling moments in the fight. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at it in a square manner, but like I'm trying to think through every scenario in my head. And for me, it feels like the margins for Royval winning this fight are tiny. I think he needs to land like a flying knee or a spinning back elbow or something, an ice Kape with something like that. I just cannot picture him taking moments or minutes from Kape. But what do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm completely with you on this too. Like he tries to overwhelm people, that
Yeah.
Royval. And like Kape is gonna see that coming, lane hard counter shots down the middle, be able to finish him, honestly. And that's why I think the money line is probably much better than targeting a total. Because could he drag it to a decision? Maybe. But Royval is so hittable that I feel
kind of think he's gonna knock him out, honestly.
I do too. At
Yeah.
25 minutes, it's hard not to. You know what I mean? He's gonna have the opportunities on the feet.
Dravi saying Kape versus Van or Tyra versus Van. I'll say this before we talk about that. I feel like Dana did say in the post-fight press conference, Pantoja injured his shoulder and then it was popped right back in. It wasn't his arm. So I sort of think that's going to be, they're just going to turn it around pretty quickly and we're going to get Pantoja Van. Yeah, I think so.
I think if they don't, I think it's the first one though. I think
it should be. I mean, first of all, I mean, good for Van for winning the title. I think Kape's way better than Josh Van at this point in their career. And I think he'd fuck him up pretty badly personally. So I'd be more interested in that. Also, because I just don't think Tyra has really earned it.
Plus, then we get a Kape Pantoja rematch.
I'd be here for that. I would like to see dude, I wanted to see Pantoja Van so bad. I was looking forward to that more than any other fight on the slate, you know, and we just didn't get it. So
yeah, cashed my under, but wasn't happy about the
but yeah, Lags and I, our verdict is Kape Van. But yeah, that's gonna do it. It's a 12-fight card.
Would they book Tyra then, you think? Well, let's say Kape wins, Pantoja's out for an extended time, Kape Van gets booked, Tyra gets booked against.
Tyra probably sits out and waits, honestly.
Yeah.
But see, the thing is, I don't think they'll do that. I don't think they'll do that. Dude, he'd destroy Asakura. I don't think they'll do that because like they made Tyra come cage side. They're obviously trying to pitch the Tyra title fight, you know?
Okay.
So I do feel like if any Tyra Horiguchi, that is, we had two people saying it, Pepe and Tristan. I'd be here for that. That would be a fun fight.
That's a good one.
It should be like Kape should be fighting for the title already, you know, if he's got his fucking weight together. But you know,
about that, probably. And probably like
probably
for it,
yeah. And he's kind of a maniac, like little French midget. Like I feel like he makes people uncomfortable, but you know.
Yeah, I love it.
But anyway, guys, that'll do it for tonight. Lags and I'll put together a holiday show at some point in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, I hope you guys do well this weekend. I wish we had more to give out here. We got a nice break coming up, but then we'll be back late January, ready to roll. So, guys, as always, drop a like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, May Fox, follow Lags on Twitter at Danny_Lags. And yeah, boys, we'll talk to you guys in a couple weeks. Peace.